Amazing. So Tuesday market breakdown. Basically, it's been pretty good actually for the start of the week. I've actually been able to get a few good trades, which I'll talk about maybe towards the end of the week. But let's just look at the DXY for a minute. What we have on the DXY is this potential running channel. Now, this can just kind of commit and just keep going up. It doesn't have to kind of create this corrective sort of move, but what I'm really forecasting is two things. I think, as I mentioned on SMB, was left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and comes all the way back up here and then goes down. And that's what the impulse correction continuation might lead to. However, if we do get this corrective channel, what we're kind of looking at is this running channel. So corrective squeeze, push down, didn't quite commit to that point yet, but pushed up. And then now we're getting that third touch, that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 sort of, push down. And then we can kind of go down to this value zone. But then if we look at, for example, this impulse on the daily, and then we look at it here, it brings us into that zone there, which is quite interesting. For example, if I take it from this point to this point, then we take it from here, it leads us in this very good valuable area, also pushes us in room to continue going further. So in no means do we have to come all the way back up for the left shoulder. That's not something that's high probability, but it is a possibility. The other thing I'm looking at is obviously if we can get this and we get this corrective and then the last leg can be impulsive, we meet with this, then I'll wait for that push back in and the flag, and then I'll be going in for the short on a lot of US related pairs. So that's a really interesting one to look at. USD CAD was a bit of an unfortunate one. I was running some really good percentage on this. However, I guess it was just my mismanagement, unfortunately. Completely my fault. I got a really good trade in over here. It is what it is. I had a trade in here, and it was really tight, really nice. Maybe not the best of trades, but it was there, and then almost got tagged out, and then it committed, and then I was running some profit, but then obviously it just pulled back up aggressively. It is what it is. I had a trade in here as well. At the end of the day, these things happen. Um, and then yeah, so I could have been a little bit more aggressive with management. That would have probably been the solution for this, but there was always the possibility that we could create something larger like this. I wasn't expecting it to create something so much like this so soon. I was looking for something a little bit like parallel, but we've kind of created this sort of angled running channel now. So sorry, it looks more so like this is a larger correction as well to the upside. So if we can correct up here and then sell off heavily back down here, then this could be one large bull flag to go higher, and this could become the middle section. So that's something I do like about USD CAD. I think there'll be an abundance of opportunity on the short. So I'm not too fussed about trying to catch it at the top right now. I'm just interested in, once we start committing, even if we're like over here in the run, it's not really a big deal because there's a massive area to basically get involved. So that's just basically what I'm looking at on USD CAD. Aussie CAD, haven't really got it on watch today. We kind of got to the line in the sand, but because we approached so correctively, it was expected for price to potentially just create something like this to go up. So not always, expecting anything to happen. Anything can happen. It's just probabilities. But looking at how price was forming, it didn't look like it was going to really sell off. I did get into an entry over here. So we had this phase line break, and then we had this sort of corrective price here. I got into a trade over here and then had a short, and then I banked the profit around about here. And I think when it started to correct, I got out of the market there. So it was a very small profit, around about 2.5%, I believe. 2.7, but yeah, it was just what it was. Just wasn't really convinced that this is the sort of price action after this impulse, this correction. I didn't want to go correction into another correction sort of situation, so got out of this. The next one I had was GBP USD. Sorry, there was someone bringing cowbells outside. I live near some farms, so someone was selling milk. It was a bit unusual, never seen that before. Anyway, so GBP USD, GBP USD, still ringing the bells. So GBP USD, we had 1, 2, 3. We had the extension, the push up. I was looking for a little bit of a higher push up and then push down, but it's quite nice now. So all I'm looking for is this 1, 2, 3. So we've had an impulse, being aware of this kind of low here. had this impulse, we're building this correction. If we can get back up here and push down, I might be inclined to get an AFT entry on the sell. So that's basically what I'm looking for on that. Nothing crazy, just got that on watch. So want to see it kind of push all the way back up one more time before we sell off. GBP Aussie. Now, I do want to get into a sell on this, but I just don't know if this is the progressive sort of price action I want to get involved in. It's just looking like a bull flag to go up further, especially because it's on the high. It's not really where I want to get it. If we get a solid push down and then we create a flag somewhere down here, I might be interested. But at the moment, it's just too corrective. So happy to stay out of that for today. Euro GBP is kind of still in that corrective squeeze. It's broken correctively as well. It's not really the sort of progressive price action that I'm kind of looking to get involved in at this current moment in time. I think there's definitely some opportunity growing in here, but it's just this is kind of getting more complicated as the days go on. So I'm happy to stay out of this for a while until it kind of just shapes up. But because we're trading at the low, it's not really one that I'm gonna be so fixated on. I think there's some better pairs to have on watch. Euro yen is one I've got on watch. So Euro yen, I'm looking for that solid push down before we get the push up. We're pretty much there. And yeah, I just want to see that commitment, see it push down, push back up. I'm not looking for any sort of risk entry because in terms of the risk reward, well, I guess you could say that you could take a risk entry, but really and truly with that impulse, this correction, it could just drop off. So I don't want to get involved in something like that, especially on the high time frame. It's nice, but it can just kind of get a little bit complicated and push all the way down before it comes back up. So I don't want to just jump in this trade. I want to be extra patient and then, see it kind of reveal itself before I get involved, especially with that kind of expanding feel that it can kind of just, get a little bit complicated. So stay out for this one for a little bit and then see how it goes later. Wildcards, USD yen. USD yen is one that I kind of did want to get involved into. I think this is kind of shaping up now. We've had the 1, 2, 3 over here. Not the highest of probabilities, but we've kind of had that corrective squeeze kind of extended and then created this extra push, broken that, and now we're creating a little small flag. This could be one to entertain. I think in terms of risk reward, it's a little bit hard because there isn't really any clean structure in my opinion. You could even just correct up here, so I don't want to really slap on a 50 pip stop loss and take that because I'm not sure if that's the sort of high probability trade that I'm looking for. I mean, yeah, the risk reward is there at 12, but if I can squeeze it, I will, and that's more so what I'm looking for. So I think there'll be some more opportunity, which will be a little bit more clear. But at the moment, it's not really giving me what I need. So yeah, it's one that I've really got to just kind of look at. Let me take. Yeah, cool. After analysing it, I just don't think there's going to be a clear entry anytime soon. I think really and truly what I'll be looking at is this is kind of the middle section for this expanding, and then price comes back up, tags this and goes. But to be honest, because there's no significant price, it's not the easiest one to catch. To be honest, I think just more commitment is probably the best thing at this point. We've got this sort of inflection point over here that I think is more so the line in the sand now. I would say that we had this sort of possibility where we've broken this and now we're creating this. So I think here's definitely possibly a good place to be looking at entering the market. Yeah, it's just one of them ones where we broke impulsive, we create small correction. There's a nice little correction in there, which now we could potentially just push back up, correct, tag into that, maybe take anyone out of there and just push through. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But definitely UJ is looking quite nice. I think having that on watch is not a bad shout. We'll just have to update my analysis and my forecast on that, but that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks solid. That looks pretty solid. Yeah, then the next one I've got is GBP yen. I think GBP yen is a bit further away. I thought previously it could have just developed, but I think now just looking at something a bit larger. So I have it on watch, but I don't think it's like soft watch. It's not really what I'm going to be watching. It's just there. CAD-Gen's a bit of an unfortunate one, so I got in at the 1 hour retrace. We kind of corrected, tagged me out for break even, and then it is what it is. Had an AFT trade as well over here. Also got taken out for that one, so I was kind of just happy to leave CAD-Gen, but I've got it on watch in case we do kind of develop this larger flag. But I think this is more so going to be probably later this week now, late Wednesday, Thursday. Aussie yen, same situation with USD yen. I just need that to kind of middle section here, not the cleanest, and then we push back up, tap into this, and then we sell. It's kind of what I'm looking at, and then that's it really for this week. And then I got Swiss yen here, but Swiss yen isn't really developed. There was a little flag in there, but wasn't really much coming off here. Corrected, pulled down, pulled back up, and that's just correctively squeezing. I think we could see something a little bit more complicated. Maybe we'll come back down here before we go up. So that's one that I'm kind of just looking at, but at the moment there's nothing else to really look at. I was looking at the Aussie 200, just watching it sell off, which is pretty nice. Kind of gives me a bit of an assistance with wanting to take Aussie yen. I took Aussie yen at the risk entry, but I got out just because I wanted to cover my loss. And then yeah, it's just one of them ones where I think, you know, seeing how JPY 225 is also forming as well, it's just kind of painting a picture for what to expect over these yen pairs. So yeah, I'm just going to be extra patient with this now, see how this develops, and I think we're going to be in for a really good run on these yen pairs. So we just have to stay sharp. I think Euro Yen, hopefully this isn't just going to be a near miss and then just goes. I'm hoping that we do kind of tap into this and then go. So that's going to be a solid trade. USD Yen could probably just sell off, so I'm not too fixated on that one, but it would be nice. GBP Yen needs some time to develop, could even become a flatter flag. But just definitely just represents that we could have a larger flag in this zone, needs some structure to develop. CAD-Gen, I think, is going to have to sit on the log burner, and Aussie Yen could potentially be a very good trade if it shapes up. So really, what I'm really looking at today is Aussie Yen, USD Yen, Euro Yen, and GBP USD. I think CAD-Gen, not worth it, and GBP Yen still, it's not worth it. So yeah, in plain view, these are the ones. And then I also wanted to kind of just put gold and silver on here. So if you look at gold on the higher time frame, we kind of tapped into this weekly inflection point, and then we this override here, we didn't tap into the inflection point, sorry, the override, then we rejected. Now we could be creating a larger ascending, but there's enough room to manage that we might get the pole is equal to this, and then we kind of come down here. And this is actually very possible as well. So, or if we kind of go from the break, then we might even push lower. So it's a very good place to kind of strategically place yourself in the market at the right time. I think there's definitely this override as well here, but for gold, you know, there's some structure developing in here, call it a 1, 2, 3, with the mini override, but we'll class it as the override over here. And yeah, so there's structure in there, and I think that's more than enough for whale to take. And then we also have something quite similar on silver, but the only thing with silver is we don't really have that override inflection point to the left, but we did come off this larger 1, 2, 3, and we tapped into a higher time frame inflection point. So we tapped into that. We had this 1, 2, 3, not the cleanest of structures. You can draw it a little bit differently. We had the override here. We're now trading back into this structure. Like I said, not the cleanest of structures, but we've had a solid push down and we're creating a very corrective flag. It's visible on the 4 hour, more so on the 1 hour. We have these nice little scoops. It could be very much possible that we correct and sell off from the override because there's no inflection point to lead for the third touch. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do tap into that and then sell. However, I'm not going to be taking a trade on this. I just wanted to watch it. But yeah, that's more so it really. So yeah, I guess kind of just looking at it like that in hindsight, it's quite nice. So that's basically what I have on for today, and what I've been looking at. In terms of good trades, you know, I basically had CAD-Yen. CAD-Yen I got in the 1 hour retrace here, so it was drawn a little bit differently. I had it in from here, and then this was the original flag before the larger potential forecast was there. We had the 1, 2, 3, the retrace, and then the sell in there. So that was kind of it. But I guess, at this point, it's getting a little bit more complicated. So it's been left. And then USD CAD, unfortunate USD CAD was, but we'll have to wait and see. Sometimes, it doesn't play out because something better is going to play out. So got to stay patient and then wait for that to shape up. So that's basically it for today. Have a good week, and